Hey folks, welcome back. Hope you're doing well on what, at least to me, feels like the first real day of summer here in North Carolina or wherever you might be. Um, so I wanted to start off today just by discussing a couple of logistical things because tomorrow, of course, is your first performance. So hopefully you have already been working on that as we discussed it on Monday. I know that a couple of you were late additions, so if you feel the need to contact me to turn that in a little bit later, that's completely all right. But if you have been enrolled from the class in the beginning, hopefully this is something that you're prepared to turn in tomorrow. And I'm excited to see and hear many of you in person for the first time and to listen to your narrative performances. So, if you haven't gotten the chance for whatever reason to get started on this project yet, I would just remind you that the description for the assignment is under assignment descriptions on resources on Sakai, and I would also remind you that in the first video lecture I posted, I went into a detailed description. So if you go to lecture 1, it says syllabus and story assignment description. If you watch that again, I go into good detail about what is expected from these performances. Just a quick reminder that they're expected to be narrative performances that are 2 to 3 minutes long, in which you're telling a story about a time in your life, either in everyday life or in a more structured or artistic capacity that you have performed. So we talk about that a lot more in that first lecture, and I would just remind you that the assignment description has a breakdown of the specific expectations, so make sure that you are reviewing that when you're finishing up your performances or getting ready to record them to make sure that you're hitting all of the requirements. For instance, I just wanted to remind you that if you're doing a video lecture, you need to be including at least 2 body motions, and if you're doing an audio lecture, you need to either be using sound or something like it to communicate what a body motion would, or be narrating what body motion you would be doing if you were doing it in person or in an audio format in a way that complements rather than detracts from your performance. So that's going to be your emphasis if you're making an audio lecture, is thinking creatively about how you want to convey these moments of movement if you can't, in fact, express that movement visually, which is one of the unique challenges of figuring out how to perform through an audio format. If you're doing it visually, you obviously have the benefit of being able to simply move, but that doesn't mean that the choice of body movements is any less significant. So think about those things critically. Anyhow, so I just wanted to remind you about that. And then once again, the assignment is due, your first performance is due by 3 p.m. There is a forum that is open on Sakai that you can post it in right now. So whenever you get done with it, if you go to forums under Sakai, you will see a thread that says story performances. And that is where you will either upload your audio file or your video file if it is small enough to be uploaded onto the forum, or where you will post the link onto YouTube or whatever site you use to create your video so that we can all view it. And as I say, there's a description in the assignment in the forums thread. Excuse me. So if you go to the forums thread, I talk a little bit about what types of file formats you should think about using. And I just want to emphasize that please do not upload something that is in a format that is not broadly accessible. So don't put it, for instance, if it's a video, don't link us to some account that's behind a paywall that all of your peers won't be able to access. If you have any technical questions about this, I know this is a new sort of situation. I'm not an IT wizard, but I'd be happy to correspond with you about any problems you're having, so please feel free to get in touch. Second, I wanted to briefly talk about our forums post. Remember that your first forums post is due on Monday. In it, you're supposed to write 2 to 3 substantive paragraphs in which you discuss a issue, problem, question, argument from the week that you found provocative or interesting or want to explore further. And in your writing, you're supposed to incorporate 2 passages from the text or a text or multiple texts from the week, it's up to you, that substantiate or help you discuss or help you justify the argument or idea that you're exploring. And then you're meant to, in addition to that, include a link to a video or audio performance of some kind, or even a visual image performance of some kind, something that you think represents or illustrates the concept, theme, or idea that you're talking about. Of course, I hope that there aren't any issues in terms of people posting things that offend other people. We do think that it's important, like free speech concerns are really important in this class, and we'll be talking about politically provocative issues. But if you have a question about whether something that you're posting might be offensive to others, please make sure you run it by me before you post it, at least. But I expect we're all adults here, and I just expect you to use your better judgment as what constitutes appropriate and inappropriate examples of performances in this class. And hopefully there doesn't have to be any discussion of moderation beyond that. But just little sidebar on that. But mostly I just wanted to remind you of those requirements. Again, I talk about them more substantively in our first lecture on the syllabus. You can go back and listen to that, and I'll go through them in more detail. You can also always review your syllabus, and I would encourage you to do so before you turn in your first forums post, because that is where that's where the specific guidelines for your forums posts are. So definitely review those guidelines and what the breakdown of the expectations are one more time, and make sure that you're meeting them before you turn in your first post. And hopefully after that you can do it without really thinking about it. But anyhow, so that's our second logistical thing. I'm going to talk about one more logistical thing, and then we're going to move on to the content. I also just wanted to briefly mention that once again, I'm seeing a lot of views on the videos that I'm posting, and I'm really pleased with that. I wanted to emphasize, though, that the class is it's important that you do try to watch the videos on the days that they are posted. I know technical difficulties delayed some videos yesterday, so I hope that didn't interfere with you or pose problems too much. But in any case, I saw a little bit of decline in viewership yesterday, which is again, this is supposed to be flexible to accommodate your needs during this difficult and strange time that we're living in, but there is a lot of content, and the course is fast-paced, so you will get behind pretty quickly if you're not watching the lectures and keeping up with the material every day. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but I just wanted to encourage you that even though we are trying to be flexible about the format, it's important that you are watching these every day if you can. Okay, with all of that being said, I'm going to switch over to another video to do our content-based lectures today, just so you can review this more easily on the side. So sorry for the sort of cut up nature of this. I just wanted to give you a good rundown of the three things that we have coming up, or the three things that you need to be thinking about as we move forward into your first performances and next week. So thanks a lot for bearing with a logistical lecture, and I will see you in the next video to talk about Paulo Freire and the pedagogy of the oppressed.